doesn't match everybody at the table, and that can then be the strength that gives you an edge. Explain how your biography and growing up on the east side of Cleveland is now applicable when you're at some of these tables and negotiating these deals.
Yeah, it was important because, we was just trying to survive the day. We wasn't able to plan ahead. I lost a lot of friends through either death or losing their freedom at a very early age. And so what that did was it never allowed us to celebrate, right? When I was doing what I was doing, you didn't want that attention shined on you. And so the more successful you became, the more you tried to actually blend in. And you start to develop this temperament. And then, again, like, your life could change just standing next to the wrong person, right? Or, just having that bad timing. And so, just again, seeing people on top today, hit rock bottom tomorrow, all those things that you thought was a detriment at that time, actually today becomes assets to you. Like for me, you guys heard all the accolades, just this summer alone, I negotiated over $900 million in contracts, just this summer alone. Thank you. And as a company, we over $4 billion in contracts in the last 10 years. But I've never celebrated a deal. People know me. There's a lot of people probably in the crowd that know me. It never caused me to change. It never caused me to change my energy. It never caused me to change my perception of someone. And it also never caused me to get complacent. Yeah. Most people in my position would have stopped a long time ago. And when you talk about just the luck, and I see people on the internet, it's like, again, just a lot of idiots. But oftentimes people say, well, you was lucky, you met LeBron. But no one ever talks about, and that was an opportunity, and I'm extremely lucky to meet somebody who was willing to give somebody like me, and just an opportunity. We don't get that, right? But no one ever talks about, there's a thing in football called yards after the catch. It's called YAC.
Yeah.
But no one ever talks about the YAC, the yards after the opportunity. So if you look at the yards after the opportunity, yeah, I caught a screen pass, but you gotta look how far I ran to score the touchdown.
Absolutely.
And that's extremely important. It's not up to somebody else to score for you.
Yep.
If they throw you the ball, it's up to you to run the rest of the way. And so, for me, I had to take a step back because I was actually the LeBron of my neighborhood, right? And so, if I invested in my ego and me being the so-called man, whatever you want to call it, I never value the opportunity because I'm looking at him as if we eye to eye. And that stunts your growth when you do that.
We talked backstage about if you ever struggled with imposter syndrome. And he said, what's that? I don't know what that is. Now, if you've not heard the term imposter syndrome, it's people who make it to a certain level of success and feel like they have not earned it. They feel a lack of confidence. You do not have that. How have you been able to avoid that? I mean, getting to this degree of success and not feeling like your biography, what you struggled through, was an impediment at all?
I never lacked confidence because I also understand the balance in confidence. Sometimes people can take confidence and position it as arrogance. Mm-hmm. That's never been me. I've always been someone that has been high character, cared more about others than I've helped a lot of people, not from a financial perspective, but just, I've always helped a lot of people. When you talk about the book, when I talk about my friend Thomas, who my dad used to bring me McDonald's every day for lunch. And my friend Thomas was being picked on all the time because, he didn't have the best of clothes and he's, may have had a stench or whatever, but, his water may have been off for 2-3 months. And I seen the way people were treating him. And one day, as you guys read the book, this is in there. One day, my dad asked me what I wanted for lunch, and I told him, here goes some money I want to buy my friend something, because I knew what would happen and how it would make him feel, and the perception of him would change. And I was in the 5th grade when I did that. And I just think, for me, I've always been motivated, even through hardship, even when, again, in the book where I talk about having to make a decision when, you're banking on somebody or you're joning, whatever you call it in Atlanta, I don't know what they call it, but sometimes that conversation can get out of hand. And when the guy said what he said to me about my mom, the first time, it hit me a little different to where your anger, you want to fight, but I had to channel that. And so the next time, I had to make a decision, and I don't want to give the book away. But for me, it's just always been about having a balance. And I've never been allowed to get too high or too low. And my dad used to always stress the importance of no matter how high you go, the success ladder, your character should go with you. Right? Yeah. So there's a lot of people with a lot of money, but their character don't match. Amen. And so they're glowing the same. But you can have very little money and your character can be very wealthy and your glow is different. And so for me, I never focus on the finance of it. Yeah. Because that's not, I don't want to say it's not important because, people become successful and again tell people money ain't important, that's bullshit. It's, it's important to a certain extent. Right. But it's not the end all, be all. But I think there's a holistic approach to it that you have to have all those different verticals. But the success and the character should align.
Yeah, character is what sustains you. And there's so many really good lessons from Big Rich in the book.
Yeah.
First of all, your dice game, I mean, when you were young, winning thousands of dollars as a teenager, and I think the lesson of the dice game was not so much, I had no idea about these terms and what the odds were, but being a gracious winner. Right?
Yeah.
Giving somebody what's called a gapper, which I didn't know about. Give somebody a little bit of money so you don't completely humiliate them. Being a gracious winner, I think, goes along with the line that you were just talking about. I'm hitting the highlights here. I suggest you read or listen to the book. There's so much there. One of them, the points I want to hit as well, is, and this is certainly applicable to the crowd, the discernment of who you take with you. I think people who know your story and the check that came out of nowhere from King James Inc., he decided, you're going to go with me, I don't know what you're going to do. How do you determine which of your friends, which of the people you take with you, and you point out the books and people when you were selling weed, you said, I can't have you anywhere near this. You're one of my closest friends, but you can't play here.
Yeah, I think, oftentimes, that's for different reasons, it's friendly fire, but I think how I determine it today versus yesterday, when I was in the streets, it was a little bit different because I didn't want, people loud and drunk, and if you was a drunk person, I didn't want you around. If you drank a lot, I didn't want you around me because you can be in a car with people that can be very harmful to me and just talking and not knowing. You think you bragging, but you really, yeah, y'all know what I'm saying.
Set yourself up. Yeah.
But from there, leaving that space and coming into this space, out of our 70 plus employees, I think maybe 3 of my childhood friends, not even 3, 2 of my childhood friends.
But what are you looking for? What are you looking for to say?
Capabilities, will, drive, like I told them when they was hired. First of all, I didn't just hire them because they were my friends. My one friend, Kelvin Crenshaw, he's an agent now in football. He's done really well. He went back and got his law degree. He had to be actually prepared. He's asked me to get into football for many years, and I wouldn't do it because I was focused on basketball. When I did get into football, he didn't have to catch up. He had done the things prior, and so it was an easy hire. My other friend, I had to wait until he was serious. And even in our conversation, because I actually hired him, I said to him, my friend, I used to sleep on his mother's couch. I did. And I said to him, "You're my friend, but I will fire you." And I meant that because you should respect me enough to where I'm giving you an opportunity and you appreciate it. You know? And it shouldn't be, that's my man so I can take off or I can slack. It should be, that's my man so I'm going to do more. Right? And I saw this thing, I know it was something about Jay-Z and they was talking about $4,800, a guy asking a loan to him or whatever. And I get the comments that was being made, but I think the bigger picture is just the importance of building good habits. It's not the money. And oftentimes you can borrow money from somebody and you think, oh, well, they don't need it.